For tank crews in World War II, the difference between coming home and dying in a burning steel coffin often came down to the machine they were given. Today, we're ranking every major tank of World War II, from the steel coffins that doomed their crews to the machine that dominated the battlefield and changed armored warfare forever. At the bottom of our list, 3 tanks promised greatness on blueprints but became coffins for their crews when battle erupted. At number 10 sits the Panzer I, Germany's first mass-produced tank that seemed like a reasonable stepping stone when it rolled off the assembly line in 1934. Designed as a training vehicle for more advanced panzers, it represented German confidence in their armored future. But the devastating truth emerged in combat. Early engagements revealed its complete inability to engage in tank-to-tank combat. Its armament consisted of 2 machine guns, glorified anti-infantry weapons. When German crews rolled into Poland in 1939 facing enemy armor, they discovered their main weapons were useless against tanks. During the Spanish Civil War, German observers watched as Panzer I machine gun rounds bounced harmlessly off Soviet T-26 tanks while return fire punched straight through their thin armor. The Spanish Civil War became a brutal preview of what was coming, a machine that looked like a tank but could not fight like one. Moving to number 9, the Bob Semple tank from New Zealand makes the Panzer look sophisticated by comparison. Designed by New Zealand's Minister of Public Works during the Second World War, it seemed like desperate ingenuity. Essentially a tractor wrapped in steel with 6 machine guns positioned at different angles. The fatal flaw became apparent immediately. To change gear, the tank had to come to a complete stop. In combat, this was not a minor inconvenience, it was a death sentence. The cramped interior forced crew members into positions so tight that escape in an emergency was nearly impossible. With armor less than half an inch thick, any direct hit would transform the compartments into an inferno. The design prioritized firepower on paper while ignoring the basic requirement of keeping crews alive. At number 8, the Soviet T-35 heavy tank represents one of the most spectacular failures in tank design history. The 5-turret behemoth looked unstoppable on parade grounds in the 1930s. Stalin's engineers had created what appeared to be an invincible land battleship. Its concept was outdated from the start. In actual combat, the reality was a coordination nightmare. 5 separate turret crews could not communicate effectively. Mechanical breakdowns happened constantly, and the massive weight made it a sitting duck for German anti-tank guns. The T-35's size, which looked impressive in propaganda, became its curse. German anti-tank crews prioritized these machines as targets, and when the complex systems failed, which they did frequently, the results were catastrophic. The massive weight and poor mobility meant crews had no escape route when the machine was hit. But the tanks above them started to change what was possible on the battlefield, proving that sometimes the difference between survival and death came down to learning from these early disasters and building something that could actually protect the men inside. Seeing the Panzer I's machine guns bounce harmlessly off enemy armor while crews sat helpless inside. Would you rather face combat in that death trap or the Bob Semple tank that had to stop completely just to shift gears? Drop your answer in the comments below. Now let's see which tanks actually started giving their crews a fighting chance. At number 2, the Tiger I represents the pinnacle of German heavy tank engineering and the machine that Allied crews learned to fear above all others. When it first appeared in combat in August 1942 near Leningrad, the Tiger seemed to fulfill every promise German engineers had made. Its 8.8 centimeter KWK 36L56, originally developed from the anti-aircraft gun, could penetrate any Allied tank at combat ranges. 100 millimeters of frontal armor offered protection that Allied standard weapons could only overcome with special ammunition from 1944 onward. What made the Tiger truly devastating was not just its armor or firepower, it was the psychological impact on enemy crews. Allied tactical doctrine explicitly instructed tank commanders to avoid direct engagement with the Tiger I. and instead flank it whenever possible. The numbers tell the story of its battlefield dominance. Tiger battalions achieved an overall kill ratio of approximately 5.74 to 1. Individual Tiger units achieved even more spectacular results. At Villers-Bocage on June 13, 1944, a single WWii destroyed 14 tanks, 15 armored personnel carriers, and 2 anti-tank guns in approximately 15 minutes, a feat that became the most famous single engagement in armored warfare. But the Tiger's fatal flaw wasn't technical, it was strategic. Only 1,347 units were built, each roughly 3 times as costly to produce as a Panzer IV. Its fuel consumption of approximately 270 liters per 100 kilometers made it a nightmare for every supply unit. For every Tiger that dominated a battlefield, Germany could have built multiple medium tanks. The machine that struck fear into Allied hearts was too expensive and too few to change the war's outcome. At number 1 sits the tank that didn't just win individual battles, it changed the entire trajectory of armored warfare. The Soviet T-34, particularly the upgraded T-34-85 variant, represents the perfect balance between battlefield effectiveness and strategic impact. The T-34-85 is widely considered the most effective tank of World War II. It combined adequate firepower, solid protection, and superior mobility, and it had a production run of over 57,000 units of that variant alone. What made the T-34 revolutionary was not that it was the most advanced tank, it was that it was advanced enough while being producible in massive quantities. The numbers reveal the true story of World War II tank warfare. While Germany produced fewer than 1,400 Tiger I tanks over 2 years, the Soviet Union built over 84,000 T-34s of all variants. This was not just about quantity over quality. The T-34 fundamentally redefined what tank design should prioritize. Its sloped armor, reliable mechanics, and ease of production became the template for tank design that continues today. T-34 crews rolled into battle knowing they were part of an unstoppable industrial tide. Unlike Tiger crews who fought knowing each loss was irreplaceable, T-34 crews fought with the confidence that came from overwhelming numbers and superior logistics. The tank that truly dominated World War II was not the one that achieved the highest kill ratios. It was the one that could be everywhere at once, that could absorb losses and keep fighting, that transformed armored warfare from a duel between individual machines into an industrial steamroller that crushed entire armies. Subscribe for more rankings that reveal which war machines earned their legends and which ones failed when it mattered most.